All right, today's video. I've done this before, and I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna keep saying this about fishing and fishing videos like this. I do this all the time. I'm debating on whether or not I might just put this whole entire day on film. It might be a lot, right? It might be a lot because I want to show people. I think it's important how you fish and what you do out there on the water. I've said this before. There's an old saying that says, time on the water is everything. Like time on the water, time on the water. I agree but disagree. And here's why. There's a lot of 70-year-old men, 60-year-old men that have spent tons and tons of time on the water. And there's some 22-year-old kids out there that can outright outfish them. Right now, when you say all this, you're gonna be like, oh, it's Livescope. Okay. When I was a kid, there was no Livescope, and we won a lot of tournaments against a lot of older guys, okay? When I was in high school, I wasn't even 20. I was 16, 17 years old. Time on the water is great. Time on the water, throwing a worm around for 10 hours a day, every day out of the year. You're gonna learn some spots, but you're not gonna learn fishing. You're gonna learn where to get a bite here and there, but it's not gonna translate to actual catching a whole bunch of fish day in and day out. So I've always said, time on the water is not that important. Quality time on the water is important. And I've always been that guy that's always been trying to get quality time on the water and take advantage of that time, especially now. There's days I get to go out there for 12 hours a day, but very rare is it. So I'm always trying to maximize my time in the water. I try to do as many things as I can out on the water. So I rarely go out on the water and do one thing all day long. Sometimes I want to, and sometimes I have to, and things like that. But if it's a day like this where I get to go fun fishing, I haven't got to go fun fishing pretty much all year long. And I'll be honest with you, I've had 2 days of it now. Since the tournaments have died down. I've had 2 days and have crushed them. And I have yet to do the same thing all day long. So I was out there bass fishing the other day, right? Catching fish, do my thing. And I ran across some crappie. So I grew up crappie fishing on Lake Livingston. Just walking around the marina stalls. If you caught 4 or 5 a day, it was great. It was okay. Catch 8 or 10, 12 in a day, you did something. I rarely crappie fished out of a boat. So it was either bank fishing when they got up on the beds, or when they were, walked the stalls, is what we used to call it. I liked crappie fishing. I loved it, but man, I just didn't want to. It was kind of hard without Livescope. Kind of was. It was easy and hard at the same time, but I didn't want to go mess with brush piles, and that's how everyone was doing it. And so I just didn't do it that much. Livescope came around, and I was like, this is awesome. And I don't care what anyone says. I love catching crappie. I love eating crappie. I love whatever. Yeah, fish tacos, fry fish up, do all that stuff. I like crappie fishing. I like catching them. It's fun. I started catching a lot more of them with Livescope. What I'll say about it is this. Using Livescope to crappie fish is one of the best ways you can learn how to use a scope. So it's one of the best ways. And here's why. I'm always catching bass. I can't tell you how many bass I've caught while crappie fishing.
Bass or crappie? Oh, that's bass. That might be a crappie. Little crappie jig. Watch it be a big one. Not a bad one. There was 4 or 5 of them. Might be the best one of the day. Oh, stupid crappie jig. There's more of them like that too.
Get in here.
Romeo. Sausage head. A 4-pounder. I still think there was some crappie in there. There was definitely some more bass in there.
So that happens, right? You catch a big one, which is always kind of fun, always kind of interesting. I swear I catch one. I catch a bass every single time I go crappie fishing with a crappie jig. Okay. Secondly, this is why it's important. I go out there, and bass fishing sometimes with scope can be hard. Can be. And what I mean by can be hard is there's so many different things when we talk about like scoping. People say it's easy and hard and like you can't make them bite, all these different things. There's so many other things that people don't talk about. One of them, if you ask a lot of people that struggle with live scope, you know what? They don't talk about fish not biting. You know what they talk about? How hard it is to control the boat. How hard it is to control the boat and see the fish and throw at it all at the same time and stay on that fish. And it's true, it is hard, right? So you spend a lot of your time doing that. A lot of guys struggle doing that. It's a you have to learn how to do that. You have to learn how to cast at them. You have to learn how the distances. You have to have your live scope set up a certain way. All these things are true. Then you have to actually get the fish to bite. All like bass fishing on scope is pretty much the hardest thing to do when it comes to all these different kinds of fish. Crappie fishing, I would say, is closer to the easiest thing. So I always tell people, like, crappie fish as much as you can. It will help you. And here's why.
There is a bunch of crappie right there.
Crappie usually don't move too much, okay? So you can stay on crappie a lot easier, okay? So like whether it be on a pile or like right here, I was fishing, I just happened to run across them. I didn't know they were there, but there was a stump and there was a log that was like diagonal and there was a bunch of junk down there and they just happened to be like underneath that log and they would move a little bit. And we'll get into that. Right? And here's the crazy part. There's always bass with them. Watch this.
Oh, that's a bass. Look, look, look. Look. See if he tries to get him. That bass tried to eat him. That was pretty cool.
So yeah, I'd caught a couple crappie and this bass comes up there. Like after this crappie I caught, it was like a 5-pounder. It didn't eat it, but it tried to. I ended up catching another bass, I think 2 more bass while I was there, but they weren't big ones.
I mean, a bunch. What's this? I know there ain't no bass. Is it a bass? That freaking goofball. In there with all them crappie.
Those crappie were really interesting. They wanted to hang out underneath that diagonal log. Like that log was laying like this, and they would hang out, not very deep, like 7-8 foot. And you could catch a couple, and then they would move down, go away from the log about 4 or 5 foot further down, closer to all that kind of brushy stuff. And then sometimes they'd move about 10 feet away to this like stump. It was about, like I said, 10 feet away. And then they would move over. And that's like their triangle. That's what they would do. They'd either be here, down here, or over there. You didn't have to move, but the whole group of them would follow each other. Well, I was able to sit right there and fish for them. If you notice, I wasn't throwing very far. I usually, when I bass fish, keep it at 100. Here, I usually keep it at 60. And I want to fish for them about 20 to 30 feet away. So they're going to be about midway in my screen. If you notice, so if it's at 60 foot, they're going to be somewhere between 20 and 30. Okay. I can even move down to 55, 50. And that's where I'm going to fish for them. And I can kind of zoom in. So I can see my crappie jig perfect. I can see the fish great. I've got an MBT. So it doubles the size of everything. I don't know what to tell y'all, man. That MBT is phenomenal, right? It just makes everything easier. Everyone that gets on my boat is like, wish they had it, because it makes everything so big. And so I can see everything. And so, but I get to stay there and I get to learn what the crappie do. I get to get really good at my cast. I get to really get good at angling. At angling my trolling motor and my cast and lining everything up. And you go out on a day where it's not blowing and you can get good at this stuff. And crappie fishing, doing it this way, tell everyone, any chance you get, stop on crappie, fish for them. I never, especially when I'm fun fishing, but for the most part, I always have at least one rod rigged up with a crappie jig.
I hit the log and they're still
And
eating.
I always have my crappie stuff. I keep it in my little container right there. And yeah, it's great. And it's easy too. The Strike King has, I think it's called the shad pole, is what it is. The shad pole and the sausage head. I always go the white head, and I always go like that kind of clearish blue or a clearish black, that tadpole looking bait. Go light. Always go light as possible too. Just telling you, that's my little secret. 1/8 is easier to fish. If you can get away with a 16th, go a 16th. They like it better. And you can learn what works. It's amazing because those crappie will tell you a lot. And crappie and bass, they act the same a lot of times. So you can learn a lot of what's going on, what works, what doesn't work. I'll give you a hint, crappie, they don't like anything going down. Everyone gets on that boat and starts shaking a crappie. I'm like, whoa, don't shake it. They don't like all that, right? There's things that you can learn. I'm telling y'all right now, I know this is like a crappie video. It's really to help you with bass fishing. I promise you, it will help you. The more you do it, the better you'll get at it. Sometimes live scoping for bass is difficult, and it can be hard at times and things like that. Your confidence level will go through the roof when you catch a bunch of crappie. It just will. And so I always tell everyone, keep learning that way. Take a break. Go catch you 10, 15, 20 crappie while you're bass fishing. I'm telling you, you'll feel like, oh, I can go do this. I can go catch bass this way. It'll help out. That is my suggestion for y'all. Let me know what y'all think. See y'all.